My name is Amber. I'm sitting on the porch of the cabin my grandfather left me, surrounded by the quiet of the 42 acres of land. It's been a while since the legal battle ended, and the silence now is a stark contrast to the chaos that once filled my life. I remember the day in probate court like it was yesterday. I walked in calm and ready, a far cry from the girl who sat silently at the fake will reading. My mother sat in the gallery, her hands gripping her pearls so tightly they turned white. My brother avoided my gaze, and my cousin Leo started sobbing before the judge even entered the room. It all started when my grandfather, Mr. Thompson, passed away. I was raised by him because my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, were always too caught up in their high society events. My father was cold and distant, always more concerned with his business deals, while my mother was a master of false smiles and empty words. When the day came to read the will, I arrived in a simple black dress. My cousin Leo was laughing with his girlfriend in the corner, saying they could buy a beach house if the inheritance was what they expected. My aunt, Mrs. Parker, had a bottle of champagne peeking out of her designer bag. My brother, Tom, who hardly ever visited our grandfather, looked smug. A new lawyer, not my grandfather's long-time attorney, handed out sealed envelopes. When I opened mine, there was just a blank piece of paper. I stared at it hoping it would change, but it didn't. Leo shouted that he got 150 grand, and they all started celebrating. I asked the lawyer what was going on, and she said my grandfather had revised the will and my portion was rescinded. My mother then turned to me with a sickly, sweet voice, saying maybe I didn't need it. I left without a word, not wanting them to see my hands shaking. That night, I sat in my car and stared at the dashboard until morning. There were no messages, no apologies, just silence. In the following days, I tried to make sense of it. I listened to old voicemails of my grandfather's birthday calls, and his voice was full of love and trust. He always told me I was the one he could count on. But when it mattered, I was left with nothing. I tried to contact the lawyer on the envelope, but the number was disconnected and the email bounced. I found out that my grandfather's regular lawyer had suddenly retired, and the will was filed by someone with no history of working with him. When I asked about the original document, I was told it was sealed, and I wasn't a listed beneficiary. Meanwhile, Leo was posting pictures of his new luxury car on social media, and Tom was showing off a watch that cost more than my annual salary. My mother sent me a text telling me to let it go. Then one rainy Monday, there was a knock on my door. A man in a charcoal gray suit, Mr. Harris, introduced himself as the executor of my grandfather's sealed will. He showed me two documents. One was the fake will they had read, and the other was the real, court-registered will, signed 6 weeks before my grandfather's death. He explained that someone had filed a forged version with a falsified signature and notarization. The inheritance was still intact, and I was the primary beneficiary. It turned out that my grandfather had used a private court channel to file the sealed will because he knew someone would try to alter his intentions. In the sealed will, I was left 42% of the estate, including land, stocks, a house, and a family trust tied to some patents I didn't even know he owned. The antique business, which I thought was sold off, was just listed as liquidated in the fake document. Mr. Harris also showed me evidence that the forgery was likely arranged by someone with access to my grandfather's personal records. I didn't need to be told who. I could picture my mother handling my grandfather's checkbook after his surgery, my uncle always offering to help with paperwork, and my brother standing by, watching. The court notified my family, and chaos ensued. Leo left a dozen incoherent voicemails, my aunt sent a long, rambling text, and my mother came to my porch, trying to talk to me. But I didn't open the door. Over the next few days, things moved quickly. The antique business was put under court supervision, the family trust was frozen, and I was granted a protective order against my own relatives. Leo tried to move money from an offshore account, but the bank flagged it. My uncle's email history showed his involvement in the forgery. Then Mr. Harris found a safe deposit box in my grandfather's name. Inside were a signed copy of the handwritten will, a sealed letter to me, and a flash drive. The letter said that he knew they would try to steal his legacy and that he left me the key to everything because I never asked for anything. The flash drive had recordings of my uncle conspiring with a consultant to forge documents. When these were submitted to the court, the probate dispute turned into a criminal case. 3 weeks later, in court, the judge reinstated the original sealed will. I didn't celebrate. I just exhaled quietly. After the ruling, my family disappeared. Leo lost his house and car. My aunt was removed from non-profit boards, my uncle's law license was suspended, and my mother never apologized. I drove out to the land my grandfather left me. It was untouched since my childhood, and everything felt familiar. I sat in his old chair and remembered the quiet mornings when he taught me how to use a compass. I didn't cry for what they took. I cried for what I almost forgot, that I mattered to him. I've learned that trust should be earned, and family is defined by behavior, not blood. I'm done with the lies and the drama. I'll move forward, but not with them. Justice may have come quietly, but it came, and that's enough.